Think it'll scare the kids?
The kids? This'll give the parents nightmares.
Is that good?
It's fantastic.
Hi, my name is Alexandro, and I just day 2 at the Salt Lake City Regionals playing Schrodinger's Mew. It felt really good piloting this list. I felt like an evil villain, just absorbing everyone's hopes and happiness. I felt disgusting telling my opponents good game at the end of every game too. It's just, that was a lie. That wasn't a good game. They never stood a chance. It wasn't even close. It wasn't even far. By the time game 2 rolled around, my opponent had just given up on the match. I didn't get the chance to interview anybody. Everyone was too upset to do an interview after the match. But I was able to recreate what it would have looked like. Here it is. Hi, would you mind telling us how it felt like to get stepped on by Alexandro?
Stepped on me? Stepped on me? Are you kidding? This guy was dancing on me. I mean, just look at this. Broken, broken, gone, gone, broken, broken, broken.
Yeah, there you have it. That was day 1. Unfortunately for me, on day 2, the shoe was on the other foot. I don't think I hit a single heads that day. Day 2, when I opened the box, turns out I was playing the weakest deck in the room. Yeah, but anyway, enough of that. Let's get to the deck profile. Alright, because we're playing going second Mew VMAX, we actually do not play the Oricorio. It's not a card that you need when going second because it doesn't provide anything to your board except maybe another Pokemon that has Fusion Strike in it, so you can Fusion Strike for bigger hands. Yeah, we play most of the standards. 4 Battle VIP Pass, 4 Ultra Ball, 4 Quick Ball, 2 Switch, 2 Rope, 4 Tablets, 2 Choice Bands, 4 Fusion Energy. Because we are going second, we play 4 Alyssa Sparkle. It's actually a card that we have to see in order for us to do our play of Melodious Echo for 210 base. 240 base against Arceus, you know, and 270 base against Arceus with Big Charm or Duraludon with Big Charm. We played 2 stadiums because when we're going second, we actually don't want to draw into multiple stadiums. We want to be able to just be able to play the one. I want on my hand, my first hand or my turn to be as playable as possible. And just playing multiple stadiums does not help with that. So I asked myself, what's the best stadium that we have available? All right, and it's Rose Tower. So I was like, all right, let's play 2 of those and just call it a day. I played the 2 Turbo Energy again because I don't want to have too much energy in my hand. On my opening hand, I only want to have the 1 Fusion Strike Energy, so that I can menu that and then Alyssa Sparkle the rest. So that's why we cut down to 2 energy, just to make sure that the rest of our hand was more playable. We played the 2 Rotom Phones. I don't like playing more than 2, just because I feel like in your opening hand, it doesn't help you establish your board so that you can have bigger Fusion Strike systems. It lets you have that one specific draw when you're digging for the Fusion Strike energy, but if you can't bench enough Pokemon, it doesn't matter if you can Fusion System draw up to 3 if there's already 3 cards in your hands. We played the 1 Echoing Horn to help us against any Arceus matchup, actually, just because Arceus has too much HP and it requires a lot of resources to be able to hit into that, to Oko it. So we just take the game plan will be turn 2. Our turn 1, the turn 2 of the match, we take an Oko with a Meloetta. Then we chase something down with the Mew VMAX copying the Technoblast. And then we just wrap up the game by using Echoing Horn and bring out another, a 3rd VMAX, and then that just wraps up the game. And just to make sure that on that turn 1, we are hitting into a priority target, we were playing the 4 Pokemon catchers, just to give us more outs. Obviously, like because it's a coin flip, You want to play as many of them so that you can see as many of them on the first turn one, or increase your odds of seeing one. Honestly, all you need is one heads. But because, you know, it's a 50-50, you will play multiples. And at the end of the day, this list does become a double-edged sword. I think they won round 3. My opponent gave up on the game halfway through game 1. I wasn't counting, but after the end of the match, his buddy came over and it's like, dude, I can't do anything when my opponent flips 7 heads. I just can't do it. It doesn't matter what I do, he said. He just gave up on the game. And that's basically what the list is meant to do. It gets to a point where you can take such a big lead that it doesn't matter what your opponent's doing. Doesn't matter what you're doing, because you're always gonna have the out, as long as you're hitting the heads. My round 6 opponent, again, he felt that frustration that game 1. It's really funny to see because from his side of view, I was just flexing on him super hard. I think at some point he took a knockout with a Mew VMAX and attached the choice belt to my Mew. I played a power tablet. I Cram-O-Matic twice. It hit both heads. I got 2 more Cram-O-Matic. I mean, 2 more, that would have been an extra disrespect getting a Cram-O-Matic off the Cram-O-Matic. I got a power tablet of each Cram-O-Matic. I played them. That's a 120 damage modifier to Oko the Mew VMAX. And right before I Oko'd it, I played Escape Rope, forced the Mew VMAX back onto the bench, and then I played Pokemon Catcher, hitting that heads to bring it right back. His frustration, I think that Pokemon Catcher just broke him too. That's the kind of power level I wanted to bring to the list. Same thing, I believe it was my round 8 opponent. All smiles and giggles, you know, jokes, you know, he was laughing, he was smiling, we were having a good time. And then I started playing my deck list, and sure enough, by the time game 2 started, I won the first game. By the time game 2 started, he wasn't making any jokes. He wasn't smiling, he wasn't laughing. He was just calling out game actions. You know, this kind of list changes a man. And sure enough, when you live by the die, and you die by the die round day 2, I don't think I hit a single heads. And I hit the lowest of low rolls in all my starting hands and my prizing. I think, let's see, what was it, round 13? I was playing against Eternatus, and we were down to 2 prizes each, and I had double Pokemon Catcher left in my deck. I Genesect system showed them both to my opponent. Flip tails on both of them. Perfect. Game 2, I pulled off the combo damage modifier, manual fusion strike energy, Alyssa into a Meloetta and like a Mew. Alyssa Sparkle for the energy, and it turns out 2 energy were prized. I just couldn't Oko the Galarian Moltres V at that point. Let's see what else happened. Day 2. Round 11. Game 2. Game 1, I completely destroyed them. I did, Mew stuff. Went second. Alyssa Sparkled onto the Meloetta. Manual attack fusion energy. Power tablet, KO the Arceus. Turn 2, same shenanigans. I think they tried to gust up in Genesect. I switched, knocked out another Arceus V. And then turn 3, I made a little Deco Escape Rope, then another one back out, and I just took the knockout like that. Game 2, I started Meloetta, and I saw my opening hand, 3 Cram-O-Matics, and 3 items to discard with. I was like, and my opponent passed with just the Arceus in the active. And I was like, it's game. That's match. All 3 Cram-O-Matics flip tails. Yeah, I passed with no cards in hand. I was like, you know what? We're scooping. We're going to game 3. There's no way my luck can be that bad. And sure enough, game 3, it's just my luck was just as bad. Ended up having to use my Pokemon Catchers. I fell so far behind that I had to use Pokemon Catchers to gust Pokemon in the bench to stall out, to force a tie. And then I played the 2 Jolteons day 2. Out of the 3 possible Jolteons in day 2, I played 2 of them. And this list just has a really hard time against Jolteon just because we don't play the Oricorio. which makes it so that, you know, they can't two-shot the Genesix, they have to three-shot them. And then they can't even one-shot the Oricorio because the Oricorio protects itself, and they can't ping it if you put a Fusion and Strike Energy on it. So the Jolteon matchup is highly favored, even through Path to the Peak. I remember before Brilliant Stars, you play that matchup all the time, and the path would just, you know, the path would stick after that first turn, but it didn't matter if it was able to accelerate enough Mew VMAXs to keep rotating in between. I opted to go first every game that I played, all 14 rounds. And the only time I lost, the only time I took it to game 3 with this deck was when my opponent chose for me to go first. And it was against Finn, round 6, and he took a knockout going second with the Blizzard Rondo onto the Mew V. Honestly, I did not expect that to happen. He was even saying that, well, that doesn't happen very often, that he gets to attack with it, but it did. And even though my opening was pretty good because I don't play Oricorio, I didn't get to bench that one. So yeah, it was just a free knockout. Couldn't recover from that game. Game 2, I chose to go second. The game quickly went in my favor. And then game 3, he does this cute play where he attacks with 2 Suicunes, and then after that he doesn't bench a 2 Prizer, and he attacks with an Inteleon, and he fills up his bench so he can't horn another Suicune back up. Pretty smart for him. So he went down. I went down to 2 Prizes, and he was still at 3. On my turn, I used my Mew VMAX to copy Psychic Leap onto a Sabo. Yeah, I took a knockout, went down to 1 prize, and now there were no more 3 prizes left on my board, and he had 3 prizes left, and I had 2 Mew Vs, so he couldn't just chase one down to lock me out of game. And then on his turn, he took a knockout on something, I forgot what it was. He went down to 1 prize, so we were both at 1 prize. I promote my Mew V, I draw, and my hand, I have like an 8-card hand. And in my 8-card hand, there's a Pokemon Catcher and 3 Crams with enough items for me to use all 3. I hit Tails on the Pokemon Catcher, and I hit Tails on all the 3 Crams. It was the lowest low roll of the day, because then afterwards I still had a line to win, and I Fusion Strike System for 10 cards total. And I needed 2. There were 2 lines I had to win. I could have Double Turbo Energy and Boss, something on the bench, or Escape Rope. Escape Rope would have done the same thing. Or I could have manual Fusion Strike Energy, Alyssa, and then Escape Rope. Because of the way my hand was built, I had to commit to the attaching the Fusion Strike Energy, and then having to draw the Alyssas and the Escape Rope, and I ended up drawing the Boss's Orders and the Turbo Energy. And I was like, well, that's unlucky. If I had just gone with the other play, or if I just hit 1 Tails, it would have just made my life a lot easier. Would have gone on to 6-1. Would I play this deck again? Absolutely. This deck has such high potential to take such a huge lead over your opponent, and they have no hopes of coming back. Just being able to Melodious Echo knock out their only V, or their V with or their Arceus with the Double Turbo Energy, just means that the next turn they can't Arceus. And you just get to take another free knockout. Therefore, how do you recover from that? You just don't. You just move on to game 3. You just move on to game 2. And in game 2, guess what happens? They choose to go first, and you just do it all over again. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. Before my matchup against Azul started, I asked him, or I told him, hey, if I beat you, can you give me a shout out on your channel? And he said, yeah, sure, of course. So, if you see him, ask him if he'll keep his word and give me that shout out. All right, thanks for listening.